So today we are going to cover paper 2 from the recent examination APJCJ Mains 2025, the criminal paper analysis. So we'll be covering all the questions here, whatever is given in the question paper, the sections, the problems, everything. So coming to the question paper, the first question, what is first information report and what is its role in a criminal trial? So basically you will write about what is an first information report FIR, and the information needs to be given to the police officer in the concerned police station and regarding a cognizable offense as per section 154 of criminal procedure code. So you will be writing this, and after this you will explain what is its role. Its primary role, it helps the police to start the investigation and it is not a substantive piece of evidence. It can be used as corroborative evidence or to contradict the informant statement under 157 and also 145 of Evidence Act. So you will write everything related to FIR. So when can a preliminary inquiry be there before reporting or before registering for FIR? The second question. First question B. So for this, they asked to write with reference to any judgment also. So you will write Lalita Kumari case versus government of UP. So for this, you will write the basic information regarding what is an FIR, and then you will write a preliminary inquiry may be conducted in few scenarios like matrimonial or family disputes or corruption cases or medical negligence cases, and it has to be completed within 7 days. So here the purpose is to verify the genuineness of the complaint and to avoid any misuse of FIR. So you will write all these things under B. The next question, what do you mean by charge in a criminal case and how it is different from charge sheet? So what are the contents of certain sections, what are given 211, 212 and 213, and when can the charge be altered? So this is a direct question. Everything is in the chapter 17 of criminal procedure code. So you will write what is a charge under section 2 clause B, and you will explain it. A charge means specific accusation against a person, and charge and charge sheet both are different. So charge is stated from sections 211 to 224, whereas charge sheet under section 173, right? So now you will write under 211, 212 and 213. So here you will write what all these sections are. So the offense, the charge should contain the offense name, section, time, place, particulars, whatever are there. So you will write all these sections, and what is the procedure to be followed by court when the charge is to be altered. So here alteration of charge, section 216. So 216 of criminal procedure code deals with alteration of charge. So yes, a charge can be altered, and the court may alter or add any charge at any time, but only before the judgment is pronounced. So the accused must be given a fair opportunity to meet the new charge. So all these particulars about alteration of charge also you will be given. The next question is, it has 4 sub questions: police custody and judicial custody. So accused is kept under the control of police interrogation, permissible up to 15 days. So 167 section. Whereas for judicial custody, you will write 60 days and 90 days depending on the offense he has committed. So this is police custody and this is judicial custody you will write. What is confession and extrajudicial confession? So basically confession is something that where a accused admits his guilt. So that is confession. Extrajudicial confession is the confession which is not been given to any magistrate or in the court. So the confession which is given other than the actual confession is extrajudicial confession. That means you are giving to, you are admitting your guilt of offense or doing or committing a crime to any friend, neighbor, relative. So all these comes under extrajudicial confessions. Next is falsus in uno and falsus in omnibus. So this question has already been covered under shorts. So you can already go and watch. The link is given in the description. The next one is what is accomplice and who is a decoy. So accomplice is 133 section under Evidence Act, a person who participates along with the accused in a crime. So he is called as accomplice, a partner in the crime. Then who is a decoy? A person who is used by the authorities to trap or to detect a crime. He is called as a decoy. So the next question, question number 4. So what do you mean by compounding of offences under the Criminal Procedure Code? Why are some offences compoundable and some are non-compoundable? Explain. It's a very easy question. Section 320 speaks about compounding of offences. So you need to write what are compoundable offences and what are non-compoundable offences. So compounding offences means these can be compromised. Either it can be with the permission of the court or it can be without permission of the court. So certain offences, the parties to the offences can get compromised. But non-compoundable is where the parties to the case cannot compromise. So you can write examples. For compoundable, you can write like defamation, hurt, and for non-compoundable, you can write murder, rape. So it definitely requires a permission of the court for non-compoundable offences, and you cannot go for a compromise here. So basically, to understand, compoundable is less serious offences and non-compoundable are very serious offences. So the next question is, what is arrest of person and is it necessary in all the cases, and when shall a police officer issue a notice? So with reference to case law, yes. So for arrest, it is chapter 5. So from section 41, you will write regarding the arrest, who can be arrested. Notice of appearance, you will write section 41A. So the police officer asks the person to appear to the police station, and if he doesn't, he has a power to arrest him. So you will write what persons can be arrested under section 41. So you will also write, is arrest necessary in all the cases? No, it's not necessary. So as per Arnesh Kumar versus State of Bihar, so arrest is not mandatory in every cognizable offense, especially where the punishment is up to 7 years. So the next fifth question. So fifth question is about A and B Juvenile Justice Act. So what did they ask? What is the procedure to be followed upon apprehension of child alleged to be in conflict with law, and also regarding grant of bail? Okay, so first you will write child under conflict with law. So you will write the related section 2 of 13. You will explain who is exactly a child with conflict with law. So below 18 years who has committed an offense treated as conflict with law. Now regarding the bail procedure and arrest procedure, you will be writing. So he cannot be arrested as a adult, right? He cannot be arrested in the format of like how the adult has been arrested. So he must be placed in a special juvenile police unit or child welfare police officer under child welfare committee regarding section 10 here. So you will mention section 10 of Juvenile Justice Act and you will explain it. And the child who has been apprehended by the police should be should be presented before the Juvenile Justice Board within 24 hours. So you will write that. And regarding bail, you will write section 12. So here the bail is the rule and it's not an exception. So bail can be denied only if the board treats that the release of child can be associated with further criminals, and there is a lot of danger psychologically to the child, and it if defeats the ends of justice. So only in particular cases a bail can be denied, otherwise no. And if the bail is not granted, the child is sent to observation home and it should not be sent to jail. The next one is functions and responsibilities of Child Welfare Committee. So all this is covered from section 27 to 30. So each district will have a Child Welfare Committee and it consists of 4 members. You will write one should be at least woman and the one is chairperson. So what are the functions? So inquiry, rehabilitation, support, care orders, custody of the child. So the object is to protect and care for the child in the best interest of the child. So that those are the functions and responsibilities of child welfare committees. So the next one, what is the distinction between burden of proof and onus of proof? This is also covered already in shots, so you can watch this video. The link will be added in the description of this video. The next one is, what is a test identification parade and what is its evidentiary value? So yes, test identification evidentiary values, it is admissible as an evidence, right? So for this you will cover section 54A of Criminal Procedure Code and section 9 of Evidence Act, rule 34 of Criminal Rules of Practice and Circular Orders. So here if you read entirely the question, explain the procedure to conduct test identification of person and also property. So you also have to write rule 34 and rule 35 of Criminal Rules of Practice and Circular Orders. So entire test identification parade you need to write it down. It's not a substantive evidence, but it has credibility and conducted by the magistrate, not the police. So you will write what all includes in this test identification parade. So now if you can see the next question, seventh question, which is about discuss the essentials to initiate a criminal action upon dishonor of check. A direct question for section 138 of NI Act. So you will write what all are the essentials, when the check should be presented, and within how many days they have to go for a notice, and within how many days the reply should be there, and what is the punishment. So you will write all the essentials of this and you will mention what is actually a dishonor of check. So the next question is, discuss the term domestic violence under provision of domestic. Okay. So for this you will write section 3 of Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act. The entire section 3 you have to discuss and explain what all are mentioned, like harassment, threatening, insult, everything is mentioned in the section. So you will write that, and also you will write different forms of abuses also you need to write, like physical abuse, sexual abuse, verbal and emotional abuse, economic abuse. So you will cover all the abuses which are given in the explanation and you need to write that also in detail. So now coming to a very important question which is asked in this paper. So question number 8. So it has 4 sub questions. Everything is related to problems, right? So now let us see what are these answers for these problems. So if we can see first one, A on a grave and sudden provocation fires a pistol at Z, and if A caused death of X, he would be guilty of culpable homicide amounting to murder. But if there is no death, then then you have to mention this as attempt to culpable homicide, which is under 308. And you will write what is an attempt to culpable homicide. You will define it and you will write also the imprisonment also for this. The next one is a police officer, tortures N to induce him to reveal where the stolen property is. So stolen property 410 of IPC, right? So for this, what you will write? Here, a police officer is torturing a person. So here you will write 330 provision, which is voluntary causing hurt to extort confession or information regarding any offense or any misconduct. It can be imprisonment up to 7 years you can write. So this is 330 of IPC. Whereas if you mention here about grievous hurt, then you will write 331 and punishment up to 10 years you will write. So the next one, A gives false evidence in the court. So false evidence. Immediately as you see the term, you have to recall 191 IPC blindly. So A gives false evidence is 191 IPC. So you will mention and describe what is a false evidence, giving false evidence. But here they asked intending to cause B. So this false evidence has made by A, showing that B should be convicted under an offense of dacoity, which is punishable and imprisonment for life, or which may extend up to 10 years. So what is the offense committed by A and what is the punishment that can be imposed by the court? So here you will write giving false evidence under 191, and you will also write giving or fabricating the false evidence with intent to procure the conviction of an offense which can be more than 10 years or can extend to life. So here, as he wanted to give the false evidence, so that B will be punished under dacoity. So 194 of IPC you will write here. So this is the section applicable here, and the punishment also will involve with an imprisonment for life or rigorous imprisonment up to 10 years. So the last question, enumerate in brief as when an offense falls under section 304 part 1 and section 304 part 2. So here, while explaining this section part 1 and part 2, so it speaks about culpable homicide not amounting to murder, but it also states that there are two different distinctions mentioned here, right? So what are these exact two distinctions mentioned here? So part 1 states that intent to cause death or bodily injury that is likely to cause death, but whereas part 2 states that the knowledge that there will be death. So these two are different. A key terms you have to use. Whereas in 304 part 1 you will use the intention, and for part 2 you will use knowledge. So look into 304 where part 1 speaks if the act is done with the intention to cause death or of causing any bodily injury that can be likely to cause death, then the imprisonment for this will be imprisonment for life or imprisonment up to 10 years. But whereas when you cover under section 304 part 2, which speaks about if any act done with the knowledge that is likely to cause death, but without any intention to cause death, so imprisonment up to 10 years or fine. So this is the question. Now coming to the next one, ninth, it has three sub questions. Explain common intention and common object. So you know this, you will be writing this. So section 34, 149 of IPC you will write, and you will write for common intention prior meeting of mind is necessary, whereas for common object it's not necessary. So you will write all sorts of, and you will also write minimum 2% required for common intention, whereas for common object it's 5. So you will write joint liability, constructive liability. So you will write the basic differences for this. If you know the case laws also you can add for this question. And what is wrongful confinement and what is wrongful restraint? So for this you will write section 339, 340 and the punishment involved, a direct question in IPC. Next one, X picks up a stick saying to Y, I will give you a beating. So what is this offense? So generally it's a gesture, but still as he is intimidating here, that he is threatening a person that he will cause an injury to his body. So that means it's covered under 503, which is criminal intimidation. So you can write the relevant section and punishment is 2 years under 506. So the last question, 10th question. So it has 4 sub questions here. So whether an online gaming is punishable? Yes, it is punishable. So according to Amendment Act 2020, under the definitions, this online game is also added under the definitions of gaming. So you will write that and you will explain. So what is the difference between investigation, inquiry, trial? So the basic thing, investigation done by police, inquiry done by magistrate, trial conducted by the court, right? So you can write the basic things, and regarding investigation you can write collection of evidence, so you will write all the in detail. And regarding inquiry you will write examination by magistrate or court. And regarding trial, it's a judicial proceeding where a person can be determined whether guilty or whether innocent, so you will write all that. The next one, C, explain the ingredients of the offense of dishonest misappropriation of property and distinguish it from criminal breach of trust. So 403 and 405 sections of IPC. So direct definitions, you will write it where for dishonest misappropriation property, the property must belong to another person. But whereas criminal breach of trust, here the property is given to the person with trust. So here there is entrustment. So you will write the difference and you will also write the punishment regarding these two offenses. So how can the statement of witness recorded by a police officer during the course of investigation be used during the course of trial? So for this question, The last one you will write 162 of CRPC, and you will also write, however, this can be used only for the purpose of contradiction under section 145 of Evidence Act. So you will write statements made to the police during investigation under 162 of CRPC, and you will also mention that they can be used as a contradiction as under section 145 of evidence. So that is related to all the question explanation, a quick explanation regarding the sections and the problems. Hope you like the video. See you in another video.